friends, welcome to Faces Part 2. I'm so excited for all the new subscribers. Thank you, and let's get right into our materials. So we have the acrylic paint from Artist Loft. There's a 36 piece, and I will link this product in the Amazon links at the start in the introduction paragraph. You will need some paintbrushes. New ones are always fun. You will need Deco Art Fabric Painting Medium, Textile Medium, keeps your acrylic paint from cracking. You will need a paint palette and some water, some jersey fabric, a marking pen, it doesn't have to be disappearing, and some pennies. So just trace out your pennies on your jersey fabric for however many eyes you're making. And this is an original idea for eyes that I came up with. So if you happen to use this technique, please do credit Lightfoot Felts as the originator. That would be great. So you're going to thread your needle. That is a polyester thread, so it's pretty strong. And you're going to put both ends in so that you double up the thread, and then just grab the loop there at the end to secure it. You are going to go up and down in I believe it's called a gathering stitch, just so that it cinches the fabric. So when you pull your thread, it should not be knotted anywhere except the very first knot that you made in the loop, and when you pull the thread it should gather all of the fabric in a circle. So you're just going up and down to gather that around. And then when you pull your string, it makes like a little bit of a pouch there. And then with your scraps, you can just ball those up. My hands look a little bit of a mess today, getting ready to plant a lot of flowers, so I didn't bother with the manicure. It's finally going to be maybe warm out, and that would be really nice. So just go ahead and put your little ball that you made in the pouch, and you just cinch that up, kind of like a little purse. I'm looking for something, just some scrap wire to kind of shove that in there. It does get a little bit fiddly, so just cinch that up, and then you can run your thread through just to secure that. It doesn't keep trying to pop out there. And then just wind your thread around, just securing it so nothing escapes. Run your thread through again. Maybe you're getting ready to do some planting as well. You can leave me a comment if you'd like. So that's what you're going to end up looking like there. So I really like this method with the fabric because I've tried clay, so then you can just kind of trim your edges off there. But I really like this method versus the clay because when you are needle felting your eyelids, if you happen to go down through the wool and hit the clay, you could break your needle, or it scratches the paint. And the clay is just, to me, it's a little tricky to work with. It's not as forgiving as the fabric or the wool. For me, maybe you like the clay better, and that's fine. You can also buy glass eyes. So you go ahead and just leave your tail on and thread it right through the socket. It looks a bit garish there. And get it seated in just how you want it. I also like that these eyes are movable still. So a lot of times I would get my eyes in and I'd have a pupil looking off one direction, and once it's in there and glued, you can't really change it. And so then I was stuck with, my eyes not looking the way I wanted. So here I decided to just kind of give that a little tug, and the polyester yarn is really strong. So you can take your two tails and then just tie them in a knot. So there you go, just give them a tie. And re-thread your tails there, or your needle. I did this bit slow so that you really could see what I was doing. And then just go back through the head and you can cut that off. So there you go. You've got your eyes in there, and you can move them around, kind of fiddle with them. And you can needle felt right through those. You're not going to break your needle. And there they are. So the reason for the fabric is that you can paint it. So just put your acrylic paint and some of your fabric medium so that the acrylic paint doesn't crack and it dries nice on the fabric. Put in 4 drops and give it a stir. And then you can paint your eyes, and you can give them a nice gloss finish. You can't really paint the wool. I've tried. It just kind of soaks it up. So that's why you want the fabric. This fabric, the jersey, is nice and flexible. It does leave like a little bit of a golf ball appearance with the little pitting, but by the time you put your other layers on, I don't think that you will notice so much. If you don't like the little marks on the fabric, you can try a different one. That would be fine. I just like the jersey because it's real thin and I feel like it's flexible, and really it's the only one that I've tried so far because I got it on sale and it works. But if you have a fabric that you want to use instead, I'm sure that would be fine. T-shirt material, I would think, would work well. Cotton, like an old white cotton t-shirt. I'm sure that would work just fine as well. Maybe next time we'll give that one a go. So you're just going to paint the eyeballs there a nice white. If you get it on the wool, it's not a big deal. You can trim it off or cover it up. So just go ahead. You're going to have eyelids on as well, so you don't have to worry about getting it all the way down. If you really want, you can also paint it before you put them on. Put them in the socket if you're not with a steady hand. I didn't paint my irises until later. If you'd like to do that ahead of time, you can also do that. I would wait on the pupil though, because I find that tricky to get the pupils looking in the right direction. So here I just am adding some more wool around the head and getting the shape of the head a little bit more the way that I wanted it. I felt like the forehead needed some more, so I just wanted to show you that I'm still building that up a little bit. And that's the same way that we did in the other video, Faces Part 1. Just putting on the fluff and with the medium needle, just stabbing it in So I'm adding a little bit more to the sides of the skull, rounding out the bottom. So yeah, please go ahead and hit subscribe. We have a lot of new viewers, and that is so fun. It was really exciting last week to see all the new viewers and everybody getting really excited to follow along with the Sanderson witches and just needle felting in general. Really exciting. So I added a little bit more to the chin area. And just with that medium needle, sorry, I'm kind of, hopefully I'm not too low on the camera there. So if you're new and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the notifications and subscribe so that way you don't miss. I'm going to be doing about a video a week is the goal as we move through. I'm doing 2 dolls at the same time. So here I'm rounding out the cheeks. I think I mentioned in the last video to kind of make the cheeks like a little bit of a comma for this Sanderson witch. And that would give her those nice laugh lines. So here I'm using the doll needle to bring that lip down a little bit. I will have that linked in the intro paragraph for you to purchase if you'd like. That is a reverse needle. So what that does is it fluffs up what's underneath. So instead of stabbing in, it's pulling the wool out, and that's great for any seams that you have. So there I had a little bit of a seam that I wanted to help blend. And so it'll kind of pull the wool out from underneath, and then you can stab it back in, getting rid of that seam. So here, just defining a little bit there. Yeah, so here I'm using the fine needle. So that is the 42, and I'm just compressing some of that air, getting where the wool is raised up is where you want to stab. So we're getting rid of all of our marks, all of the airiness that we want to kind of firm up that outer layer. It's still squishy underneath. Here I'm going with the medium into some of the more recessed areas, getting everything kind of compressed and firming everything up. This is where you're still sculpting, so it's a lengthy process. So just, you know, turning the head all around, kind of pay attention to where I'm sculpting. She really has those defined lips. If you watch closely on the sped up video, you can see the progress that the needle makes. That's the medium needle, so you get a little bit more. And I really use that doll needle a lot to move things around, position things, and then once it's positioned, quickly compress the wool so that it stays where you put it. All right, so we are going to put on some eyelids. So get your 2 little fluffs there, and you're going to make a little umbrella shape. or a frown. It's just the same way we did the lips. And then fold that down. That's with the medium needle. So I sped the video up just a little bit. Those were too big, so I just ripped them in half. So you really don't need much at all. And just leave them fringy on the bottom. So just like we did with the lips, you're just getting that one edge a little bit compressed. It doesn't even have to be a lot. So I hope these videos are being helpful for you to create your own needle felted doll. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me if I can make the videos better or clarify something for you. All right, so here what you want to do is just needle felt the edges. So like the two corners, this is the bottom lid. So you do the inner eye and then the fluff. You don't want to actually needle felt. Obviously you have that eyeball under there, but you're not needle felting over the eyeball portion. There's the other doll, so you can see kind of how they're both shaping up. So you're putting the fringe down. If you have too much, just rip it off. So you're tacking the fringe down and just the corners, kind of making like a little pita pocket. That's what it looks like. And then that's the fine needle, the 42. Every time I have the red, it's the 42. That peachy color on top, it's kind of hard to see. That's the medium. And I very rarely use the coarse needle, and that's the green one that's on the right there. Sorry, it's kind of low. I'm going to move it up here in just a minute. So just get those two corners down, the inside and the out. And then you're not really worrying too much about the sculpting or the shape of the lid at this time. Just kind of get it tacked on there. So there you have your bottom lids. And then we're going to put the top ones on. So it's the same way, just do the two corners. And then the top lid, if you look in a picture, sometimes you really can't even see the lid hardly at all. So you really have this deep crease in the top. If you don't know, you can, study a picture or look in the mirror and see how much of your lid, your top lid, that you can actually see. It's more of just a crease, and then your eyebrow bone, where your eyebrow, it really hangs down quite a bit. Maybe that's because I'm getting old. So now you can kind of start to shape things a little bit to get different personality. And I'm using the medium needle here. What you don't want to do is plaster those eyelids flat. You want to keep a roundness and a little bit of space underneath. If they get too flat, then you can just put the doll needle in there and kind of fluff them back up a little bit. So just study your picture, think about the arch of the eyebrow, because you are sculpting that. That's what I'm doing right there. Turn your heads upside down, put them to the side. You want to have the depth on both sides as even as you can. You can put in the arch of the eyebrow, the arch of the expression of the eyelid, and then just move things with that dull needle. Try different expressions. If it gets too flat, just puff it out, and then you can use your needles to, once you puff it out with the dull needle, you can secure it in the position that you want with the needle felting needles. See there, I'm moving things around. A really good tutorial that I wanted to tell you about, and actually a lot of where I learned how to do faces. She only has one, but it's Felt Alive, and they are just fantastic. So I'm going to link her tutorial page on the intro for this video, and if you'd like to take a look at it, I use a lot of her techniques in doing my faces. She doesn't use armature, but the way that she does her faces is very similar. I learned from her, so that's why. Sorry, it seems like I'm a little low on my camera on this one. So see how I leave like a little bit of a, fold that over and leave it so it's not pulled tight. So it's really fun how you can change the expression just by moving the eyebrows and the eyelids. If you angle the brow bone down towards the nose, she looks angry. See, like I just kind of made that. If you make the brow bones up really high, she will look really surprised. So in this picture, I tried to make them a little bit angry looking towards the nose, but yet towards the outer corner of the eye, I wanted to lift them. If you look at the reference picture, she's kind of making a surprised face, but yet, you know, she's kind of the mean, angry one of the three witches. So I kind of tried to do a little bit of both. She's very pretty though. So she'll have her red lipstick, and her mouth is very making like a pucker or a pinched, pursed lips. So I think that will help capture her personality. So I'm really excited to see some of your dolls and how things are going with you. If you're following the tutorial, please let me know. I was thinking of a way that I could see some of your dolls. I do have an Instagram page. I have a Facebook page as well. It's all on Lightfoot Felts, just like the YouTube. So I think on the Facebook page, you should be able to comment and leave me photos. So maybe we could try that. So here I'm using that dull needle again, firming things up, the outer layer of the skin. There was a big piece of hay. Just firming that up with the medium needle there. And then if things get too packed down, it's still a lot of air underneath. It's still pretty squishy. So you can just use that dull needle to kind of fluff it back up. So we're working on, there she is with her surprised face. Working on just compressing that outer layer. Here I'm looking at the picture so that I can try to capture the right expression. So I left in a lot of this video so that you could really just watch what I'm doing, watch the sculpting process. If it's not interesting or if it goes on too long, you can let me know or fast forward and just, skip ahead a little bit. But I know some people really want to see the sculpting process so that they can try to follow along as much as possible. So hopefully I'm leaving in just the right amount. But you can let me know. So we'll see if my two heads end up looking alike or not. That one ended up getting a little flat there, smashed down in the eyelids, so I'm just kind of puffing them back up a little bit. If they get too flat, it kind of takes the life out of them a little bit. They look a little static, a little smashed in. They don't have the same kind of aliveness. Is that a word? Not really a word, but life, feeling of. So with that fine needle, that just is wherever you see a little bit of wool sticking up, it's very small. You'll want to just stab that in and it starts to really smooth out the surface. A lot of people ask, how can I get it more smooth? And it just takes time with that 42, that fine needle, finishing needle. And sometimes I like to leave my work table and I'll just go and sit in a comfy chair, and it's like 5 hours maybe of just going over the head. You're really no longer sculpting. You're just going over the small bits. So here I do have the coarse needle again, and I am really just firming up those laugh lines and getting those deep areas where the nose meets the face, because you really do have the most shadow in that area there, the deepest creases in your face. Sorry about my messy hands there. I've been painting the kitchen. And then you can just, if it gets too compressed, just use that dull needle because it's still movable underneath. It's not rock hard. We're just compressing the surface. It's like a tight skin, but it's still mushy underneath. It sounds really weird. So if you watch the time-lapse video, there's a little crease there. So there's the reverse needle, just kind of pulling that. There was a little crease from adding more forehead. Okay, back to this guy here, girl. So that is the fine needle, and here you can really see in this part of the video going over those small little raised up bumps that look not finished or still kind of fuzzy. And if you watch closely, you'll just see them disappear. And that's what you want to do. I'll show you putting in that dark bit in the next video, or later in this video. So I'm just firming up the lips there. You can just watch them. Just watch the skin kind of like tighten up. But it's still fluffy. So I'm not just stabbing randomly, I'm only stabbing the points that I can see where there's like a little bump. And just moving the eyes around. So it's a lot of sculpting and kind of just fiddling. But that's the fun part, right? You can see how you can really move things around still. We're almost getting to the end here. So once you get to a point where you feel like the face is, I would say, 85% smooth and it's starting to firm up, it's not super squishy, you can still kind of move things around, but it's feeling like it's firming up for you. It's not distorting too much when you pick it up and touch it. If you rough your hands along, you're not getting a lot of fibers coming up. So that would probably be where you would say, okay, I'm getting, you can see the one on the left is more firm. This one was the one that I needed more work. So when you get to that point, then I will be ready to paint my irises. And put on the ears. So I wanted to show you this real quick. If you look, I'm dragging the hairy fibers that are still there, just kind of dragging them along and then putting them in. So instead of just going up and down into the little bumps, I'm dragging any fuzzy bits and then putting them in. So I wanted to show you that. Here is how I did the inside, so the darkness in the mouth. I wouldn't use black. Brown is a little bit softer. So just kind of get those corners in, and you're not putting them in randomly. You want to put them in the shape that you want your mouth. So she has a little bit of a frown, so you're going to turn the edges down. Obviously, if you had a nice big smile, you would turn them up. And then just fill the... Oh, and when we do the ears, she needs her teeth too. So you want to put this brown color in, even though her teeth may be blocking most of it. It just gives that shadow in there, and it'll create depth and dimension that you'll need. So even if you had the lips closed, I still would put that in there it just peeks through anyways. You don't think you'll see it, but you will. So just firming the skin up here and doing some sculpting using that dull needle. To kind of pull out, the dull needle, pull out any areas that got too compressed down. So here I am going to show you how to use the brown to make the lines in the eye for depth and like a lash line. So you just kind of poke it in the one side and then tuck it in underneath. I may end up using some fake eyelashes, but I may end up also just using this. Sometimes the fake eyelashes can be a bit much. So this would be like that dark lash line. So we'll see. I have them. We'll have to see how they look. So just tuck that up under. That'll also help to pull that lash, the eyelid, up a little bit so that it doesn't get too flat against the eye. So you can see it kind of puffed that up a little bit. I do kind of wish that I would have painted the irises before I did this. Not the pupil, but the iris maybe. So if I were to do it again, I think I would do that. The pupil I'm going to wait until last because mine always end up looking in cross-eyed or not looking in the right direction. And here's the other eye. If you have too much left over, you can just snip it off there. And I'm really liking how she's coming out. The one on the left, I feel like her eyes got a little far apart, so I'm gonna have to see what I can do to fix that. Always need more forehead. I always need more forehead. I don't understand what happens. So if you need more forehead, just go ahead and add it on. I think this is like the third time I've added on more forehead. So I just try to move around a lot so it goes on nice and even. So thank you so much for being interested in my tutorials. It's really been fun so far to share this with you, and everybody's been so excited. So again, if you use the eye technique, let me know what you think of it. Please do credit Lightfoot Felts if you share the technique so they can follow along with what we're doing here. And I will show you, we'll be painting the irises, putting on the ears, and what else will we be doing? Let's see. Well, everything, but in the next video will be the eyes and the ears and her teeth. That's right, that's what I was thinking of, her teeth. So thank you so much. Yeah. I'll be trying for a video a week. So that's kind of the pace. Hopefully we'll keep on par. Well, thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have fun.